Hey everyone. So yesterday I put out a video that did not get over very well. I'm going to revise my video. The top Habs players of the last decade of the 2010s. I did it late at night. I think I was a little tired and I really missed a few players that I didn't really mean to miss. And I kind of got raked over the coals, I guess you might say, in some of the comments. So I'm going to redo this. It's the top Montreal Canadiens players of the past decade, since the decade's just about finished. That's right here at Talking Habs, the home of Habs hockey, where everything's dedicated to the Habs and all things hockey. Trying to figure out. It's a new camera, so I'm trying to figure out where I. Anyways, okay. So, like I said yesterday, I put out a video. Same thing. Um, and I really messed the bet. I missed a bunch of players, and I'm going to redo it here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you the top goalies, defense, and forwards of the past decade. In my opinion, I did it last night, but obviously I missed some players, and we're gonna fix it right now. So for goaltenders, top goaltenders of the past decade. That one is pretty easy because there weren't a lot of goalies other than Price. Anyways, I'll go over them. There really weren't a lot of choices. Price was the main guy all decade, and he didn't have a lot of quality backups behind him. So we're going to go over everything, and here we go. So the third, I'm going to give three goalies. So the honorable mention, I guess, I don't know, for me, he was good though, but I mean, not great. But that's Peter Budaj. And I should have put him in yesterday. I put Primo instead because I think Primo's going to be a great goalie. But it's true, he only played 2 games. He'll only have played 2 games in this decade and probably doesn't really deserve to be there. So Budaj does. He was probably the best backup that Price had all decade and deserves to be there. Now, the next guy on the list, when he was here, the controversy was, do we keep him or do we keep Price? So you know who I'm talking about. So the number 2 on the goalie list is Yarrow Halak. He was a he was good, especially that year in the playoffs where Price really wasn't very good. And Halak played, I think, 18 games and just took us pretty far, I think, to the third round. Um, he went on, obviously, to have a pretty solid career in a bunch of different places. Right now, he's in Boston. But Yarrow Halak, definitely the second best goalie to play in Montreal in the last decade. And of course, number one has to be, I mean, there's no doubt about that. Is Carey Price. Carey Price, by far, the best goalie to play for Montreal in a long time, probably since Patrick Roy. And yeah, so there's the goalies. See, I fixed it. Okay, so now on to defense. Now on the defense, I might get the sides wrong, like what side they played on. I might get the order slightly wrong. I think I've got it better this time because people were giving me hell. I didn't really put them in order necessarily. So I'm going to try to fix that right now. So the first pairing I'm going to put up, no, I'm going to put them from the bottom. So the bottom pairing I'm going to put up is Hal Gill and Josh Georges. Gill was, I think, Subban's first I think his first playing partner. He taught him a lot. He really got him acclimated to the NHL and to becoming a professional hockey player. Josh Georges was a heart and soul type of player. He gave it his all. I remember one time he had this head injury. I think he stopped a puck with his head or something happened, and who no one would have thought he would have played the next game. And I think they were playing the next night, and he was out there. Is that type of a player, heart and soul, give you everything he's got. Wasn't the most talented defenseman, but was a solid leader because he just you wanted to follow a guy like that because he gave you everything. Like Brendan Gallagher, same type. Okay, next up on the list for pairing is a guy that's currently here. That's Ben Sherratt. I know he's only here this year, but this guy's going to be a really good, solid player for us. He's a good, solid defenseman, legitimately becoming. He's probably not legitimately a number one pairing defenseman, but he's close. I think he's really come into his role here. And beside him, guy that I got hell for not putting in, and that's Alex Emelin. Emelin was one of those real heavy hitters, like Cale Fleury's becoming a heavy hitter. He was a little suspect as far as his defense on certain games. Some games he was great, and then he'd have periods where he wasn't very good at all. But I think he does deserve to be in this list instead of Victor Mete, because I have Victor Mete there instead of him. And I didn't put Gill and Georges. So the next pairing I'm going to put here is also, they're both currently here. And that's Jeff Petrie and our captain, Shea Weber. I don't think anyone can argue that Petrie and Weber are two of our best defensemen of the past decade. Some I guess you can argue whether Subban's better than Weber or Weber's better than Subban. It seems like a lot of people thought Subban or think Subban is better than Weber. I'm going to bow to that. I put Weber over here. Petrie, a solid defenseman. Took him a couple of years really to find his groove here, but definitely, who knows what we do right now without either of those two players in the lineup. Okay, so the next top line here, pretty much one of them. I'll put it here. That's going to be Subban, obviously. And I wasn't trying to diss Subban by putting him below Weber. That's how I wrote it out. That's all it was. But Subban was like my favorite Hab when he was here, so I don't dislike Subban in any way, and deservedly he's up there. Subban was great when he was here. I'm sure he wishes he never left because his career kind of took a pretty drastic turn a year or two after he was traded. And then the next guy up here was his partner after Gill, and one of the best defensemen we've had here ever. We've had a lot of good defensemen, but Markov would be he would be in the conversation of best defenseman to play here in Montreal. Markov was a great defenseman, puck mover, really helped Subban, feeding him the puck at the on the power play, at the blue line and stuff like that. Anyway, great defenseman. So there's my list for the defensemen: Markov, Petrie, Sherratt, Gill, Subban, Weber, Emelin, Georges. So hopefully nobody will disagree with that, and I can have a peaceful day. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing up here with the lines. I've got 5 players in each category, and I'm going to just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, like, dude, the words don't want to come out today. Jeez, you think it's Monday morning. It is Boxing Day, but still, it's a holiday. I shouldn't be all can't talk today. Okay, so bottom line. So not necessarily that they would be a line, but these are okay. So on the left wing, the 5th best one in my opinion, Paul Byron. I'll probably get hell for that, but Paul Byron definitely deserves to be there. Yeah, he's having a bad season, but this guy is just like a Swiss Army knife. You can place him anywhere. He's not going to hurt you in any position he plays except center. Although oddly enough, first time he was listed in when they traded for him or they got him, he was listed as a center, and I had to shake my head and go, "What? He's not a center." At least I don't remember seeing him play center. So Byron, and this guy, he was one of my finalists. That's Lars Eller. But I only wanted 4, and I had to eliminate some. But Eller was on my list. Just he didn't make it yesterday. But definitely deserving. I liked Eller. He was solid. He's gone on to Washington and been a very good part of that Stanley Cup winning team. And they're just a top team. On the right wing, a guy you might argue wasn't as talented enough to be there, but it was the 2010s. Habs weren't great over the 2010s overall. And Dale Weiss, when he was here the first time, provided a lot of energy, a lot of the words. But he was a fan favorite. Really liked him, and I think he played his best hockey in Montreal when he was here the first time. So Byron, Eller, Weiss, first 5th line, I guess. So the next line is. I could never spell this guy's name right. I had to look it up to make sure. Mike Camilleri on the left. And this guy that's next was my last cut at center. I know he should have been there. I got a lot of hell for not putting him in here, but it wasn't to diss him. And that's David Desharnais. I know he was small. He got a lot of people made fun of him or said he was no good enough. He was good, this guy. He was small. They put him as the number one center, and he did an adequate job, if not a good job, as best he could, especially as a small guy. So David Desharnais definitely deserves to be there. Next up, for all the Newfoundland fans, Michael Ryder. Michael Ryder was a pretty good right winger, could score. I think he scored 30 a few times, or a couple times anyway. Um, I don't know. We used to like to make fun of him. I don't know why. I don't really remember why. I always thought he could be a little better than he ended up. But Michael Ryder was a really good right winger, especially when he was here in Montreal. And too bad the second time when he came back didn't really work out. So Michael Ryder goes up there with Camilleri, Desharnais, and Ryder. Okay, next up on the left side, one of the brothers that played here. Hope I'm spelling it right. And that's Andre Kostitsyn. Andre Kostitsyn was a pretty good hockey player, solid left winger. Always thought he could do a little bit more, should have been a little bit better. But I think he gave us some good years. I was sorry to see when he left. And I think he deserves to be up there. His center for the purpose of this video, is a current hockey player here in Montreal, and that's Phil Deneau. Phil Deneau, definitely one of the best centers to play in Montreal, top three. Probably could have been higher up. You maybe could switch him with. Anyway, we'll see. I'll see what kind of comments I get about it. And on the right side, Alex Radulov. I know he only played here one season. It's too bad he didn't stay. Radulov was a hell of a tough customer. Always came to play. Didn't take nights off. Was probably the most gung-ho player we had at the time, other than Galley. And just like, too bad he didn't sign here. It was a shame. It turns out that it was him. It was on him. I know everyone blames Bergevin, but from what I read, it's not Bergevin's fault. He wanted more money. Maybe they should have paid him a little more. I don't know. Okay, next up, second spot all around is Jonathan Drouin, who I know last year I was very down on, but he definitely turned his game around this year. Yeah, he got hurt at I think in the 18th game. He had 15 points, playing solid hockey, even away from the puck, which was not his game, but he was playing solid hockey, being physical away from the puck, and it really raised his game. So Drouin at number 2 there. Second center is Thomas Plekanec. And you could say Deneau is better than Plekanec, but Plekanec was here for 10 years or so. Plekanec every year was consistent, was a great two-way center, face-off guy, take on the top line, that kind of stuff. So I put him ahead of Deneau, but I think in the end, Phil Deneau will be a better center overall. But I think for purposes of this video, Plekanec goes ahead of him. And on the left side, on the right side, who I did leave off, I realized that I left off. And honestly, when I redid this, I thought he was a center. He's not. He's a right winger. So I'm glad I left him off the first video because I would have had him at center like an idiot. So that's a former captain, Brian Gionta. Another small center, another small player, but he was a good captain, a good leader. He did his best here. He was on the end of his career when he came here, near the end of it anyway. And but he still produced solid points, and I thought was a good leader in an era that wasn't that great, Gomez, and yeah. So, but Gionta definitely deserves to be up there, and I only left him off because I thought the 4 guys that I had there were better than him. But then again, I would have had him at center, like I said, so that would have been stupid. And I don't want to do that. Okay, next up, and the last bunch is on left wing is obviously Max Pacioretty. Good goal scorer, streaky, but a good goal scorer. Wasn't the greatest captain. I don't think that was the role for him. But I mean, he was just a great player while he was here. Definitely led the team in points most years, and well, I don't know about him. I guess in points, but definitely in goals. Too bad he never hit the 40 while he was here. But Max Pacioretty, definitely the best left. I think the best left wing we had here in the 10 years. At center, and here's the guy that I left off, and honestly, don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did not put this guy here, even though it's only his second year here. I don't know how I left him off because if you go by points, I think he's the top point getting center that we had in the 10 years. I think. And that is Max Domi. I left him off, not on purpose, guys. Anybody that I got a lot of hell for that. I didn't do it on purpose. It was a total mistake. Not dissing Max in any way. Max deserves to be number one. Starting to play a lot better already. Again, this year was in a slump. And on the right side, obviously, there's only one guy that can go there that was here, and he's still here right now, and that is the heart and soul of this team, and that's Brendan Gallagher. For me, Brendan Gallagher is the best right winger that played here in the 2010s, and I think without a doubt. You can argue, I looked at the rosters and I didn't see anybody that could be argued that was better than Gally. Love that guy. He's the heart and soul of this team and the future captain once Shea Weber has retired. I think if he's still here, if they sign him and he hasn't priced himself. So there you go. That's a better version, I think. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you think there's anything that I screwed up this time. And yeah, while you're on the way down there, give a thumbs up. If you like the video, subscribe, ring the notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge from me at Talking Habs. And go Habs, go! Thanks, everybody, for giving me a second chance. Oh, by the way, I should do this. I'm going to put up a couple videos there, so I should point at them. And hopefully you'll like them and check them out. And that'll give you some more your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the holiday. And I'll see you next video. Bye-bye, y'all.